So when we talk about a company, corporation, if somebody asks you what is the definition of a company or a corporation or a business entity, you can say that a business entity is about its activities related to financing, operations, and investing. This is a life cycle. This is a continuous cycle. You get the funding, you use that funding in some operations by investing in some projects. And this is a continuous cycle. And this leads that when this cycle stops, it basically shows that the company doesn't have a legitimate right to exist once this thing becomes, when you stop this process. So this goes continuously. Financing, operating, investing, and so on and so forth. Financing, but before that, I would like to ask you or share with you about firm is the unit. Remember, you are studying financial management. Step one. Step two, you are studying private sector financial management. You are not studying public finance. You are not studying about the state's monetary policy. You are discussing about a company's financing and investment issues, risk, its portfolios. You are studying microfinance. You are not studying macrofinance. The macrofinance is all about printing the money supply, changing the supply of money according to the demand of money, taking the big macroeconomic policies by the central bank of the country. You are studying at the minutest level. We have the different units of analysis. Sometimes you study a country, like you find GDP. Sometimes you find the whole world, the global GDP, regional economics, for example, the EU economics, or the countries who are in ASEAN or in NAFTA. Sometimes you study a particular province, for example, when you study about certain parts of Finland, you talk about, okay, fine, I think the Western Finland is doing a great job, Southern Finland is doing a wonderful job, but you know what, this Keski-Suomi, Central Finland, the rate of unemployment is increasing. Here you are talking about the regional economics or the regional finance. But in this course, your unit of analysis is a firm, a company. So before we go further, we need to do some brainstorming, and we need to know what is meant by a firm. What is a firm? How do you define a company or a firm? I would rather use the word firm than a company. Company is all about registration. You know, when you talk from the legality point of view, the company is registered, right? The firm is more from its operational point of view. So yes, Nadia. But that's an organization. What you're defining is an organization. What is a firm? A firm is a technical thing, isn't it? Just imagine a firm in front of your eyes. You go to a firm, a company, there are some workshops, some noise, some smoke, people working, there is some machines, there is some kind of vehicles going here and there, some forklift, some trolleys, people wearing those kind of funny attires. Yeah, you get my point? This is what I mean by a firm, from defining from a very technical point of view. Remember, if I have to make how to say it? A project is the minutest level of analysis. Project. The group of project is a plant. A group of plants is a firm. A group of firms is industry. Group of industries, sector. Group of sectors, national economy. Are you with me? Or should I repeat? You start with the plant, with a project level. You start a project. And then you have multiple projects. That makes a plant in the company. When you go to some textile company, when you go to some textile company, for example, you can see there is a weaving plant, or there is a cutting plant, or there is a designing plant. That is a plant. But each plant could have several projects. Yes. Huh? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Okay. Did I? Okay, you can give me this much leeway. Yeah. All right. Great. Yeah. It's a bit difficult to say whether the bottom one is a project, because project is a very subjective word. You can call anything a project. Yeah, I think project should be at the rock bottom, at the bottom most. The project, the plant, the firm, the industry, the sector, and the full economy. But remember, the firm and the project, the project and the plant are strictly in the domain of a firm. Okay, so we will be still carrying on the firm level financing issues. Make sense? Okay, now the question is the kind of financing have an impact on the risk? Well, like financing, like risk. If your financing is safe, the company will be facing relatively lesser risk. But if your financing is risky, then you are by default are exposed to a larger level of risk. So your risk exposure could be immense if you are getting a very risky form of funding. Normally, the funding is, I think I explained last week also, that financing is all about money comes in, and investing is all about money goes out. Normally, the money comes in by two ways: debt and equity. Remember, debt and equity are the most, you can say, the purest form of funding. Of course, we can have some hybrid finance also, but the most, the broadest categories of finance are debt and equity. Now, what should be the debt and what should be the equity? What should be the proportion? What should be the proportion of debt and equity in a company? No one size fits all. There are no two companies in the world where you have the same level of optimum capital structure. Remember, the proportion between debt to equity is also called capital structure. It's very important in this course to know the new phrases and also their context. Financing, the type of financing means type of capital structure. Okay, in one company, the debt and equity could be 60-40, whereas in the second company, the debt to equity could be 20-80. Depending upon, you can't say that why don't they have the common amount of capital structure? Well, it's not possible. Even for the one company, a given capital structure is not appropriate in the future. You get my point? A capital structure which is so-called optimum now will not remain optimum in 5 years' time, or even less than a year's time, because then there'll be new dynamics. Imagine In 2 years' time, the rate of interest goes up. At the moment, the rate of interest is not very high across the world. If in the future, the rate of interest goes up, guess what? The companies would be less levered. Levered means they would be having less debt. The share of equity may increase. Okay, the share of debt may go down, because if you have more debt and the rate of interest goes up, your cash outflow will increase. Not good, not good. So in that case, you will try to stress the level of debt. So even for one company, let alone two different companies, even for one company over the time period, the capital structure keeps changing. It's a very dynamic concept. Very, very dynamic concept. As a matter of fact, we are researching a lot about capital structure in YAMK. Last year, I had a student from Kazakhstan, and she wrote her thesis about the capital structure in the Nordic countries. And now we have published a paper in one of the topmost journals in the world. It's going to be published soon. It's all about how the capital structure is changing in the Nordic countries before the crisis period, that is 2007, during the crisis period, that is 2007 to 2010, and how it has changed after the recovery period or the post-crisis period, 2010 to 2017. So we have taken a very big database of almost all the big listed companies in Finland and of course Nordic countries. Okay, as I said before, there's no one size fits all. Different companies have to strive for their different levels of optimum capital structure. And if you become a corporate finance manager in the future, okay, your most challenging job would be to define, revise, and achieve the optimum level of capital structure. This is the most demanding job which you will face as a corporate finance manager. And if you have the suboptimal, if you buy, you see what? A wrong choice has a cost. A cost is that the companies, if you're a listed company, then your credit rating can go down. Yeah, you get my point? Every company, listed or non-listed, the big or the small, they have the credit rating in the eyes of the bank or the major institutions. And if it happens that you are not able to have the optimum capital structure, then you can lose your ratings, and that can be very difficult. You know what? I show you something now. Maybe you like it. And this is in the context of not the country, not the company, but the country. Could you, okay. Yeah, maybe I need to zoom in. There are three very popular, what is this? Rating agencies. We have S&P, Moody's, Fitch, and you can see that how different countries are getting the rating. Yeah, they have different methods of rating. The best is, according to S&P, is AAA, or according to Moody's, A+++. If you have AAA rating, or if you have A+++ rating, then you are the best company in the world. The best in terms of riskiness. You have the least risk, and you can get the loan, the funding, and the cheapest possible rate of interest. And as you lose one A, so you become AAB, or even worse, ABB. Or you become A, you were A plus plus plus, now you're only A plus plus. Then guess what happens? The rate of interest goes up. Yeah, are you with me? And in fact, this thing you have done already. If you remember, we had this slide. Yeah. Can you see what? Imagine the low risk firm is AAA. Then this company is very unfortunate. It goes through the very rough patch. And after a few years, this company becomes, let's say, ABB. Then the risk-less rate will remain same, but the risk premium will increase from 2% to 7%. So if you are a AAA company and imagine that you can borrow at 2.5%, then if you are a risky company, you are not the safest company in the world, then you end up paying more risk premium. This is now having a boomerang effect. Your rating drops because of your bad financing. And as a result, you have to pay more cost. And when you pay more cost, your financial situation even worsens. So you are in a whirlpool, you are in a spiral. You start from a bad thing and you end up in the worst thing. You lose rating because of the dismal financing situation. And as a result, you pay more risk premium and you have more cash outflows. And what happens? You are even getting deeper and deeper in this kind of unhealthy. So this is very unfortunate for a company. There are many companies which fall in the trap of this kind of financial mayhem. The thing I want to show you is this. So you can see that the countries, Australia is AAA. Australia is AAA by any standards, by any company's rating standards. Okay. So we have Belgium. I'm not sure, but Canada is AAA. Denmark. What about Finland? Finland is AA plus, so it's not AAA. So you can't say that. So if Finland has to borrow, imagine now how does it differ? Now imagine Australia and Finland. They go to IMF and they want to borrow. Then all else being equal, ceteris paribus, Australia will borrow at a cheaper rate of interest than Finland. This is the implication of this. So there is a practice, there is a practical evidence that when you lose your A's and start getting B's and C's, okay, as a rule of thumb, if you're a company and your rating is so that you have no A, are you with me? That says all triple B, then you are advised not to deal with this company. You will lose your money. Yeah? So it's always good to deal with the company. So when you are a prospective importer or exporter and you are meeting a company first time, you negotiate, oh yes, you found a new client, you always check their rating. You always find that have they ever committed a default? Have they ever been penalized by financial institutions? Have they ever been penalized or put on some kind of special reserved list? If that is the case, then be careful if you want to go ahead with the business relationship. So this is a very measure, the yardstick, to decide to deal with a company or not to deal with a company. Make sense? Yeah? Yes, sir. Well, they apply, first of all, they're different organizations, yeah? and they have slight different methodology. The methodology that they adopt, because after all, when they give you AAA, they give you just because they're happy with you? No, they check you, they investigate. So the method of investigation could be slightly different. They don't differ substantially, right? But there is some difference of the methodology, the variables they take into account. It could be possible, I'm not sure. It could be possible that one of the company is only judged based on the financial performance, whereas the second company, the second rating agency, judge you not on the basis of financial performance alone, but also based on your non-financial performance. How good you are to your employees. Yeah, are you spending some money on CSR? You get my point? Are you investing on R&D? So these kind of things, they may have different variable and different methodology. But as I said before, they don't differ awfully. Yeah. So for example, yeah. So this is the rating by this column is by S&P, and this is by Moody's, and this is by Fitch. Yeah. So Fitch is also not as popular as S&P and Moody's. They're more well known. Yeah. Oh yes, yeah. You're a healthy company or a healthy country. Yeah. Yeah. Investment and risk are also very important. Before we go too much into details, we need to know that investing or investment, all about the money going out. If there are not enough investments that earn the hurdle rate, return cash to stockholders. This is a big statement. This is a very sweeping statement. If you are a company which is producing the return, and those returns are not covering your hurdle rate, are not covering your cost of capital, in that case, you have no existential right. You don't have the right to exist. Sorry, I'm sounding too much like a capitalist, but that's what we study here. In that case, the company must give the money back to the investors. You get my point? If you are a company, your hurdle rate is 3%, and you are, well, I can give you leeway for a year or 2 or 3, but consistently you are producing a return which is smaller than what you end up paying. So basically, your cost of financing is higher, whereas the return on investment is lower. It's an inefficiency. In that case, you must give money back to the investors, the shareholders. Say, admit, have the guts, have the courage, have a spine to admit, hey, shareholders, hey, investors, I have no shame in accepting that I'm not able to produce the return which you expect from me. Hence, I cease to exist and I dissolve the company and I'm giving money back to you. All right. Usually, the companies, the successful companies, the good companies, they have a payout policy. The payout policy is, you know what is payout policy? What do you think payout can be? The payout is that how you as a shareholder, in what way or in what form you get the money back from the company. Well, you get dividends. Dividends. Is dividend showing up here? Yeah, there is dividends. Dividends are the share of profit which the company is giving to its shareholders. Remember last week we studied why did we actually study it? No. Well, anyways, the share of profit the company gives to the shareholder is called dividends. Write down a question, a statement. A company's net profit is 30 million euros. 30 million euros. A company has 1 million outstanding equity shares. A company has 1 million outstanding equity shares. The company keeps 5 million as the reserve fund. 5 million euros as the reserve fund. Remaining profit is shared among the shareholders. Remaining profit is shared among the shareholders. How much is dividend per share? Full stop. How much is dividend per share? And after you put full stop, write one more sentence. And investor X has 1,000 shares of this company. And investor X has 1,000 shares of this company. How much dividend he gets? How much dividend he gets? So dividend is one form of payment. The second form of payment is called share repurchase, or sometimes we also call it share buyback. So we call it buyback or share repurchase. Opportunities come out of crisis. I think it was mid-70s. And in the US, the inflation was increasing. And one reason inflation was increasing was that the cost was increasing. The cost of production was increasing. Hence, you were charging more price, and hence inflation was going up. At that time, the state of USA passed a law that you cannot give limitless dividend to the shareholders. Because don't forget, dividend is also a cost. It's a cost of investment. So keep your dividend below a limit. And as a result, the shareholders were very angry with the American, not with the companies they invested in, but with the US state. And guess what they did? They started selling shares. Why? Because they said, okay, fine, we don't even invest in the American companies. We can invest in UK. And as a result, there was a massive sale of shares. Tell me one thing. If on a given day, there is a massive sale of shares, what happens? The price goes down. When the price goes down, the company's market value shrinks. The company's market value shrinks. Companies got angry. They say, hey, what is going on? We would cease to exist. What should we do? And then they found a plan. And that plan, that strategy, that clever thinking was in the form of share buyback or stock repurchase. They said that, hey, let's buy the shares from our own shareholders. You get my point? So basically, the company would say, no, the company is saying, hey, my shareholders, don't go in the stock market and sell my shares. I give you an offer. What price did you buy the share? And you say, I bought it 10. What is the market price now? Well, the market is not good. Now the stock price is going down at 8. But even if I get 8 before it goes to 6, it's better I get it. And then you say, hey, wait. No, I don't want you to have loss. I offer you 15 euros right now. Give it to me. So company is paying 15 to the shareholder and you get the share. And guess what? Without paying dividend, you are able to make your shareholders happier. American state is happy. You are not giving them dividends, at least not beyond the limit. Shareholders are happy because they have got more than what they spent. And the American or the country's corporate sector is happy because there is no massive sales. And if there is a sale, it's a very good deal. You get good money. People are not leaving the company or the country. That is called share buyback or share repurchase. Sound sense or not? Yeah. You're buying your own shares. Yes. Huh? Well, you keep them in the treasury. And when there's a need to issue more share capital, when things settle down, you can again issue the shares in the market. You can reissue the shares in the market. But at the moment, for some time, you are able to save yourself from the endlessly falling stock prices. Because if this trend goes on for one company, for two companies, for 10 companies, for one sector, for 3 sectors, the whole stock exchange, the whole stock market could collapse. Right? Politicians, they never care about these things. But the people who are in the finance or the company people, they're worried about this trend. Hey, what is going on? Why the state is not paying any attention? Look at how many points we have lost. Anyways, so you know by now that the companies which are the investment brings them risk and the company pays dividends and buy back their own shares. One word of caution is that I would be using the word shareholders quite without making any distinction. When I say shareholders, I dangerously can assume that they all are homogeneous, look alike, having similar objectives, aims, missions, agenda. No, the shareholders are very, very broad, diverse, and heterogeneous in their nature. Some people invest for the short period, some for the very short period, some for the very long period, right? Some invest in certain type of companies, some don't invest in those companies, some invest in the old-fashioned companies. Okay? Like, for example, if you look at the Warren Buffett's strategy. He never get attracted to very tech stocks. He's very old-fashioned kind of companies. He like to invest in companies making cookies or chewing gums or cola, these kind of companies. And that is why he admitted a few years ago that it was a big mistake which he committed by not investing in Apple. So he's a brave man. He admitted that this is a big folly, big mistake he committed by not investing in Apple because he was too shy. He was too scared of investing in Apple. And he rather chose to invest in a food store on the assumption that people may not die without using computer, or people may die without eating food. Very old-fashioned way of thinking. So the point is that the kind of investment not only affect your earnings, but kind of investment can also affect the level of risk that you are exposed to. Make sense? Make sense? Make sense? Okay, I resume recording now. I just said that the investors are not a single harmonious entity. Investors, especially the shareholders, the stockholders, the equity holders, they are comprising of very, very, very heterogeneous entities, individuals. There are many categories of these. I can categorize equity holders / shareholders / stockholders on many, many, many parameters. But the most frequent, the most common ones are if you are a value-based investor or a growth-based. You all right? So the thing which probably you may be interested to know is, are you a value-based investor or a growth-based investor? If you remember, I sent you one article about the value-based investors. Remember? And many of you have given comments. And in fact, somebody else also have uploaded a new article. Great, good job. The idea of value-based investors is here. The idea is that a wonderful business at a fair price, or a fair business at a wonderful price. So instead of fair business at a high price, you think that there's a diamond in rough. You as an analyst, you as an investor is thinking that, you know what? This company's stock price is low, down. It's not down because this company is a rubbish. It is down because there are some problems with this company. The problem could be that maybe the company's board of directors are not very professional people. Maybe this company produced seasonal goods and now it's off season, but during season the price will go up. Or maybe the company, all that company requires is a change in its organizational structure. And if all these minor, you are able to diagnose the problem. You know what I mean? As a doctor, you are able to diagnose, hey, this is the problem with the company. Is a good company, great company. But because of this, and this reason, this company's stock is going down. And then you are also optimist that this problem will be taken care of soon. You read Financial Times or Bloomberg and you find that this food chain, the price is going down, and it is because they have the horrible board of directors. But then you read in Bloomberg or in Financial Times that Walmart is about to buy this company. and you know who's Walmart. It means you have a raise. There is a light in the tunnel. Hey, you know what? Walmart will buy it, and the day Walmart buys it, the stock price will go up. So you know that the company is not bad. Its circumstances are bad. And once these circumstances are taken care of, the stock price will go up. So in a nutshell, you buy, you scan. You have a drone, and the drone is moving over the corporate sector, stock exchanges, and you find where are the cheap stocks. Cheap, but not junk. That cheap stock, which eventually you think will go up. If you're following this approach, that you're hunting for cheaper stock, so that in the future the price go up, then you are a value-based investor. This is the line of thinking. This is the this is the way of thinking of a value-based investor. You're hunting, you're praying for cheap stock. A diamond in rough. The company is a diamond, but it's in a rough. Rough could be bad board of directors, bad situation, bad timings, bad R&D, bad technology, bad strategy. Okay, when all these bad things are removed, the company would be excellent. The stock will go up, the price will go up. Yeah. Okay. This is the same thing which I explained. So yeah, this first line is very important. You as an investor, look, there are two kinds of prices in the market. There's the one price of a company's shares or stocks, which you see in the media, yeah, on the stock exchange. But there's one more price, which is in your head. Do you have a price in your head which you think should be the genuine price? Has it ever happened that okay, forget about the stock market. You go to a store and you want to buy a product. Before you enter the store, you have this kind of feeling that, you know what, if I get this product for this price, I'm willing to spend and buy it. You haven't seen the price tag yet. You haven't entered the store yet. This price, which you have in your head, which you are prepared to pay, is called fundamental, intrinsic, equilibrium, normal, natural, and I have added one more word called notional. Notion. You know the word, you know the meaning of the word notion? An idea, thought. It's a thought-based price. And guess what happens? You go in the store, and now you know what I'm going to buy. I pick my chair, and then I find, hey, I thought that was 25 euros. It's only for 25. So it means that the prevailing price is below the equilibrium price. And then you know that the price is not low because the shirt is bad, but maybe not many people are aware that this shirt is either in the fashion or will be in the fashion soon. And once people know it, you know, the price will go up. So it's better I buy it now. You behave like a value-based investor, even though you, in this example, you are a consumer, but you are behaving like a value-based investor. You get my point? So you're hunting for some stocks, you find some cheap stocks, and you say, you know what, before they become expensive, let's buy it. So that when they become expensive, you sell them, make money. If all your perceptions, all your assumptions, all your ideas come true, and eventually the problem which was blocking the success of the company, if all those problems are taken care of, then the price goes up. Sell the price, sell at a high price. You buy something for 20, sell it for 200, make money. Be happy. This is why you are in the stock market. Make sense or not? This is the value-based way of thinking. Well, I wish I could take you to this web if it works. Let's see if it works. Does it work? Well, I can take a pause for some time in case I need to. Resume recording, yeah? I don't want to miss out now. Look, one more characteristic. The first characteristic that distinguishes between the value and the growth-based investor is that value-based people are looking for the cheaper stock in the hope that the price go up in the future. That's called appreciation. Somebody asked me appreciation. That is called appreciation. When the stock appreciates, means the price goes up. The growth-based investor buys expensive stock so that it appreciates more in the future. Yeah. A growth-based investor never invest in cheaper stock because it can depreciate further. Look, I'm using these words deliberately. Should I repeat? A value-based investor prefers to buy expensive stocks so that they appreciate in the future. What is the word appreciate here? Is the word appreciation. The opposite of appreciation is depreciation. Depreciation, which means that a growth-based investor should never buy a cheap stock because it would depreciate further. Are you with me? A value-based investor buys depreciated stock so that it can appreciate. Now, I'm not saying cheaper and expensive. I'm replacing cheaper and expensive by appreciation and depreciation. Sound sense? Yeah. The second point of distinction. The second point of distinction is very important. The value-based investors are more concerned about their current income, periodical income, regular income, dividends. They are more obsessed in investing in those companies which give you dividend quite often, regularly. The growth-based investor don't like to invest in those companies who give you dividend often. As a matter of fact, if you are a company who distribute dividend very often, then you are a growth-based investor, you become angry. This is paradoxical. A company is giving you money and you say, no, don't give me. I don't like it. I'm very angry if you give me money. But why the battery is low? Now I should pause. So I was discussing with you that the second point of distinction is that if you're a value-based investor, you like regular stream of income, right? But if you are a growth-based investor, then you don't care about the regular stream. You say, you know what? I don't care. I want to see the big, substantial, marked appreciation in my underlying value. I'll give you an example. If you are a sugar or a chocolate making company, the old-fashioned kind of. We have a very famous Panda factory, or we have this Finnish chocolate brands company. What's the name of this firm? Don't see that advertisement. Anyways, if this company doesn't give you dividends, if you're an investor of Panda factory, for example, or what is a Swiss company which is very famous making chocolates? Nestle? Nestle? Yeah? Yeah? Nestle. Nestle is Nestle? Which one? Anyways, let's talk about Pepsi. Okay, Pepsi, yeah, that's easy. If you are a shareholder of Pepsi and Pepsi doesn't give you dividend, you know, the share of profit each year, you would be very angry. Or rather, if Pepsi gives you dividend every year, you'll be very happy. But if you are an investor of Apple, you will not be happy if it gives you dividend. Because the purpose of investing in Apple is not to earn 2%, 5%, 6% a year. But you rather wait when the stock price of Apple jumps substantially and then sell that stock in the market. You're not worried about getting $5 a share profit share every year. You rather wait because you invested $10 per share and now you are waiting for an opportunity when the stock goes to $70, $80. So you don't want periodical income, but you want a big jump in the stock price. This is called that you are not worried about the periodical income. Rather, you want to have the substantial increase, appreciation in the price of asset. That is the way of thinking of the growth-based investor. I tell you something. During the technology revolution, not long time ago, maybe 10 years ago, Microsoft did not give a single cent of dividend to its shareholders for over 10 years. And the shareholders were happy, not angry. I bet if an old-fashioned company behaves like this, its shareholders would leave it, but not Microsoft's investors. Because look at their way of thinking. They say that, hey, you know what? Why you give us dividend? I have enough of grocery in my kitchen. If you give me dividend now, what I would do, I would buy your shares again because I believe you, I trust you. Why don't you recycle my money, reinvest in your own company? Invest in the future projects, processes, R&D. So recycle, reuse the money which belongs to me so that my money multiplies fast. And if I have bought your share for $10, I sell it for $100. So this is the way of thinking of the value base. If you are an investor who want periodical income stream, you know, some people are more concerned about regular income, then I think you should invest in the value-based stocks. But if you have patience and you want to wait for the price to go up, then you are a growth-based investor. Yes. Uh, 3 years ago, Apple reserved $2 billion, I'm saying. Apple reserved $2 billion on the side to buy back its shares because it said, hey, my investors, you have always been a big support. You never asked for dividends. I didn't give you dividend for many, many, many years. Now I want to give you some reward. You bought my share for $10. Today, the market price is $500. I give you $700 and make you rich. This is precisely why you invested in my company. Look, it's a big philosophical. It's not just money sharing. It's a big statement that I value you because you trusted me. When people like Warren Buffett were shying away from investing in my company, you came and gave me money. You trusted me. On top of that, I never shared any dividend with you many, many years. You never raised your brows. No, I got money. I want to share my success with you. Dividend. This is the way of thinking of growth-based. Sound sense? Whereas a value-based says, you know what, you invest in me, I think it's morally, it's my duty that I should pay you regular dividend so that you keep coming. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. That is the growth-based approach. Yeah. As a matter of fact, you know, I told you that if Apple gives dividend to its shareholders, the shareholders would be very angry. I tell you why. When a company like Apple is giving dividend to its shareholders, it admits, not verbally, but between the lines, it admits that, hey, my shareholders, I don't have good projects to invest in. I don't have good R&D projects. I don't have any new product innovation. Therefore, I'm giving the money back to you. So the investor would view it negatively. It would show that Apple is not very innovative company anymore. This is why it's giving money back to shareholders by dividends. You get my point? The analyst would view, would rate, would consider this move by Apple as a bad thing. Are you with me? So therefore, it's very important to read the psychology, the mindset. The same company giving you dividends, you are on cloud nine. Another company giving you dividends, you are upset. Because it goes back to the previous assertion I made that stockholders are not single harmonious entity. They are awfully heterogeneous. Right? Now, presumption about the performance of one type of investment. Sometimes people may contend that, hey, you know what? If I'm a value-based investor and I stick with the company for 5 years, then every year I get dividend. The sum of the dividend which I get for 5 years will be more than the appreciation at the end of 5th year. You get my point? Are you getting what I'm saying? It's very important what I'm saying. Some value-based investor can argue that, hey, come on, we earn more than the growth-based investor. The reason is I bought a stock for $100. The growth-based investor also bought a stock for $100. He sold it after 5 years when it was 150. Yeah. Whereas at the end of first year, I got $15 dividend. End of second year, I got 20, 35. Third year, I got 10 more, 45. Fourth year, I got 10 more. Fifth year, I'm getting more than my colleague who is a growth-based investor. The growth-based investor would counter argue, hey, I don't care. I don't care the peanuts you get at the end of each year. For me, getting $10 per share, $5 per share are peanuts. I look for the big jump. I bought a share for 100, 200, I sell it, make 100% profit. So both are right in their own rights. But the point is that it is almost impossible to make a conclusion that one type of investor are better than the other type of investors. In fact, as this gentleman said, what's Mohammed? He said that, can I have a hybrid strategy? It's a bit risky in your tasks, but of course you can do it. But the point I'm trying to make is that it's almost inconclusive to say that one form of investors are always earning more than the other type of investors. It depends upon many, many, many factors. Okay. If you want to know more about it, please go through these articles and you will find very important that who is who, what is the argument. Okay. So please go through these 2 articles. And if you have any problem, any question, please ask me next time. By the way, next week, very important 2 questions which have come up out of our discussion so far. The one is that, what are the nature and types of risks? What type of risk we face? What is the background? So not only that we are trying to address a risk, but also digging deeper and find out the characteristic of that risk. And then we put some label on this risk. Hey, this risk belongs to this category. The second is that, how do you translate? What is the mechanism? What is the method that the risk measure goes into risk premium? I showed you the hurdle rate, did I? Which is equal to the risk-less rate plus risk premium. Now, we should not be having any uncertainty how the risk-less rate, where does it come from? It comes from treasury. Right? If you start learning, if you start studying how that risk-less rate is determined, then you are studying macrofinance. But that's not our job. We say that risk-less rate is given to us. And what we are interested in is premium. Why this premium was 2%, now it's 5%. That is what we want to study. Where does this premium come from? And when this premium comes, after we calculate this premium, how this premium goes into the expected returns. And how we as the investor decide, hey, if I have to make an investment in this company, anything below 8% is unacceptable. How do we put the hurdle? What makes the height of the hurdle go low, or very high? Remember, the hurdle rate has 2 components. The first is risk-less rate. Every company faces the same risk-less rate in a given country. All the Finnish companies in Finland know that the treasury determines the risk-less rate. But the premium is different. So how this premium is calculated and how it goes to your return, that is the second question which I'm studying. The answer to the first question is as follows. We have two types of risks. We have many risks, but we have two categories of risk. The first category of risk is called systematic risk. Once again, I'm obsessed with phrases. It's very important that you are familiar with many synonyms of the same term. It's also called undiversifiable risk. It's called market risk. It's called business risk. And some people call it even macroeconomic risk. This is a risk which spreads to all the companies, all the sectors, all the industries. Across the board, non-discriminatory risk. It affects everyone in the same velocity. When the interest rate in a country increases, the cost of borrowing of all the company increases. Hence, the interest risk is a systematic risk. The increase in the interest rate is a systematic risk. Some would burn their fingers more, some would be less, but basically everybody is affected. That is systematic risk. Inflation. When in a country, the rate of inflation goes up, the cost of labor, the cost of land, rent, the cost of capital, the cost of overheads, they all increase. The salaries of the staff increase, the raw material become expensive, machines become expensive, the fuel become expensive, everything becomes expensive. Electricity, tariff, rents, electricity, whatever becomes more expensive. Every company uses them. Some are more affected, some are less. I'm not saying that they are equally affected. But what I'm saying is that all companies, all industries, all sectors are affected. If that is the case, it's called systematic risk. Then it's called systematic risk. It's a macroeconomic risk. It goes to the whole economy. So no sector, no industry, no company is immune to systematic risk. Yeah. Very quickly, I'll come back to this. Well, just like there's a problem, every problem has a solution also. Yeah. The solution to systematic risk is to use the financial derivatives, which is part of the syllabus. So we use the derivatives to hedge, to protect, to safeguard ourselves against systematic risk. There are many ways, but the best strategy to protect yourself against systematic risk is to buy financial derivatives. We'll discuss it. But you know what? I will discuss with you why we call it undiversifiable, but a bit later. Right. Goes all the way here. Yes, the next one is called unsystematic risk. This risk is only valid or affecting a particular firm. For example, there are two companies in the neighborhood. They have a common wall, they share a wall. In one company, there's a labor strike. The labor is very angry. They are on strike. But that's not affecting the next company because they are paying their employees very well. In the same neighborhood, same company, the same type of companies in the same business, one has a very obsolete technology. And because of their very old-fashioned technology, they are losing customers. But the other company is not losing customers because they are very updating their way of their operations and technology. So why should that be affected? So when one company or a one industry is getting affected, but not the others, this is called unsystematic risk. We also call it company risk because it's only going to a particular company. We also call it specific risk because it's only a specific company is exposed to it. Diversifiable risk. This risk is diversifiable. I'll come to it. It's also called micro risk. The other one is called macro risk. This one is called micro risk. Or some people call it residual risk, leftover risk. Residual is leftover. Micro risk, macro risk. Every problem has a solution. Unsystematic risk also have a solution. And the solution is diversification. Diversification means don't invest all your money in one company. Don't put all the eggs in one basket. Because if somebody knocked them over, none would be left. So protect, hedging, diversification is the solution. Okay, and I know this picture is wrong, but I quickly, because I think it's very relevant that I should show you the picture. When you look at point A and point B, the total risk is going down undoubtedly at point B. There's more risk at point A, but there is less total risk at point B because we are protecting ourselves. We put money in more stocks. So the risk is going down. But the beauty here is that when you see the points A and B, only the green segment is getting smaller. The black is constant. Isn't? From A to B, the black is same, and this will remain same forever. You might invest in all the companies in all the world. This black segment would remain same. But look at the green thing. Green is going down, down, down. Eventually, when this red line becomes parallel to x-axis, green is missing. You know why? Because you have diversified infinitely, indefinitely. The point I'm trying to make is that systematic risk cannot be protected by diversification. Remember, I used a phrase. Systematic risk is also called undiversifiable. Undiversifiable. You can't diversify. You can't protect it. So basically, the black line throughout look, unsystematic risk is also called diversifiable risk. It means you can reduce the risk by diversification. What are the types of risk and what is the nature? Types are two: systematic, unsystematic. Nature, one is diversifiable, other is not. The one which is diversifiable, well, diversify, the problem is over. But the systematic risk, no matter you invest in 1 or 1,000 companies, it remains. What is the way out? Well, do hedging, buy derivatives, buy financial insurance. All good? Now, at the end of this lecture, I would like to make an announcement. Please note down that when I see you in 2 weeks' time, you are able to look, this diagram is here as well, yeah? I expect that you would have studied up to slide 25. And believe me, there's nothing strange. All the things I have done, but in a different context today. So I would be assuming, not only assuming, but when I come in 2 weeks' time, I would be having a small quiz session based on slide 1 to slide 25. And now, because I would be moving this, before you go, so that I can capture you who are present. So if you become absent on that day, no, basically from everything. Yeah. So I would be having a good opportunity to recap and see that what you've studied so far. Okay. So up to slide 25, I expect that you have some. I'm not saying that you have to give a mini lecture here, but you know the idea, the concepts and their meaning and their application. Okay. So all I expect from you is that you should be comfortable reasonably up to slide 25. And if you have a problem, of course I would discuss again. No worries. But first of all, I would check if you are okay, comfortable with slide 1 to 25. Now my